So there's a very upsetting case of a Norwegian student who back in the 2000s was found raped and strangled, having left a club and got in a taxi with the son of a Yemeni billionaire. So her name's Martine Vik Magnussen and his name's Farouk Abdulhak. She was found 2 days later in the basement of his apartment block, by which time he had got on a plane to Cairo and thence to Yemen in his father's private jet. The Met decided there wasn't enough to charge, basically. I've been trying to get him back to Britain ever since. He confessed to the BBC that he said it was a sex game gone wrong, which is a defence that's often used in situations like this. But there are emails from the billionaire father to Jeffrey Epstein about a meeting that he had with Ken Macdonald, which says Ken Macdonald was paid £20,000 for consultancy, about how they might possibly facilitate the return of this kid to Britain and make this case it was just a sex game gone wrong.
Can I check, this meeting proposed was after Macdonald's time as Director of Public Prosecutions?
Yeah. He's working for Matrix Chambers at this point, so you can find it all if you search for Matrix Chambers in the files. But it was arranged, essentially. He said, as a lawyer, you end up meeting lots of people with checkered CVs. But nonetheless, I found this, there's a reference to the fact that, Ken Macdonald was helpful advising him because he'd be dealing with the current DPP, i.e. he'd be brokering the terms under which this kid would come back to Britain and face the music. And it's just, the thing that got to me about all of this, a really horrible story about a poor dead woman who, whatever happened, she's never coming back. There's a whole life that would have been lived there. And at the end of one of the emails about this back and forth between the Yemeni billionaire and Epstein, it ends after this discussion of what's going to happen with how was the Caribbean, and it's like they're having this chit chat about how's life on your yacht in between the discussion about the death of this young woman, and that to me just really. I think a lot about that line, that F. Scott Fitzgerald line at the end of Great Gatsby about they were careless people, they broke people and things and retreated back into their vast carelessness. And that to me is an example of it. You're discussing somebody that your son killed, whether he did that culpably or as an accident, and you're also just catching up with how's the holiday going on? Like, was the weather nice? Did you get any good snorkelling in? It seemed unbelievably callous to me. And as I say, Ken Macdonald's made a statement about it, but I don't think that reflects very well on him, frankly.
And I mean, this is just one of the things that you've noticed. The amount of stories in the files that are buried underneath there, because we're just doing the politics and who's up and who's down.